friends, and welcome to Science Time. It's Ms. Dwyer, and today I'm excited to share with you some things that I've been working on. From lesson 3, I challenged you to go out and find as many things that you could that look like flowers or might be flowers. And I challenged myself to find things that were a little odd. So I want to just share with you, this is my journal page that I made for that lesson. I don't know if you can really see it, sorry about that. About the things that I found out in nature. I found these things at my house and also around my house, in the woods and the streams and the fields around my house. I also wanted to share with you the results of my twig experiment, which I'll be showing you in a moment. Here's my twigs. They look different now. I'm really excited about that. And last but not least, I wanted to invite you to explore a little bit more in your own yard or in the area around your house, to look for signs of life, and not just plant life this time. Let's see what else is out there and how can we tell. So thank you for joining me, and I'm excited for our lesson today. So these are the things that I drew in my journal that I thought were flowers. Some of them look like flowers. Some of them don't really look like flowers. So I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to these places where I found these things and see how they change, and if they change, and if I can find any more hints that they are in fact flowers or not flowers. Once I have a chance to observe them again, I'll record what I find in my science journal. Now let's take a look at those twigs. So look what happened to my bare twigs. I'm pleased with them. Let's take a closer look. So they were bare twigs, but now they're different things. So these were just little rounded knobbly buds. These were greenish buds with greenish sticks. These ones were the fuzzy ones. So there's the fuzzy ones. These ones I think they're still working. So I thought I'd go outside and compare them to where I took them from. And I would encourage you to do the same. It's really fun. So I thought I would bring my twigs outside today and try to compare them to the trees and shrubs that I took them from and see what the difference is. See before and after of the first one that I cut. This is the second one. It looks like it's still coming out to me. But you can see what it looked like before. It had these spiky buds on it like that. And now those spiky buds look like this. It's one of my favorites. Before it looked like this, you can just see those little tips at the end. And now inside my house, one of the branches that I cut off looks like this. Favorite, this one is the one with the fuzzy buds. I know it's hard to see that in the picture, but there's fuzzy buds all over this. And when I brought it inside and waited about a week and a half, this is what it looks like now. So that was fun, and you can do it with really any kind of branch. Not everything is going to look the same. Some things might just leaf out green, some things might do nothing at all, but there is only one way to find out. So I encourage you to try it. Remember to ask a adult for permission before you take a sample of anything from your yard. While we're outside, I started to notice a few things around me. There's a benefit to all this snow. It allows you to look for who's been visiting your yard just by looking for tracks. So I'm gonna go and try to find some tracks in my yard and see who's been around. I can see a whole lot of human tracks out there. These are mine. I can tell by my boot track. This is my boot, and I've been out in the last couple of days, but I also see that somebody else has been visiting. If you look right here, that is not a boot track. There's a boot track on the left, but the one on the right is something different. And now I'm looking back to see which direction this critter might have been going, and also how far apart their tracks are. So those ones are pretty far apart. I think I'm going to try and measure. Use my boot to measure, which is a good natural measure, and it's about 6 boot lengths between those two tracks. So that's a pretty big hop. And it also gives me other clues. What do you think could be making this creature hop so fast? What do you think it was doing? Clue number 2. There's been a couple of dogs in my yard. Not just my dogs. See those tracks? And actually they come pretty close to the other track I was looking at before. I wonder if that is helping me to tell a story. Here's 2 more of those tracks, but they're much closer together. So that shows me that something's happening. Maybe this animal is slowing down. I wonder where they were going and why. These little tracks back there are a little bit different. They're smaller, they're closer together, and they're right near this big hole under this rock in my backyard. So I wonder what that's telling me. Sometimes there's not snow, and so you have to look for other kinds of signs. So I see these two here. These are peach pits. I have peach trees growing in my yard, and I'm noticing that they're right by the stairs to my shed, which happens to have a big kind of hole underneath it. So sometimes that can give me a sign about what's going on here too. What would leave a bunch of peach pits in the middle of the winter outside of my shed? Looks like there's been some action on and inside my compost bin. The snow's kind of old here, so I can't really tell too much about what's been happening, but I think I see some tracks in here, older tracks. Sign that something's going on here. They're hard to see, but there's little scratch marks all the way up this dead tree trunk. It's actually more than a trunk, it's like half of an old dead pine tree, and there's scratch marks all the way up. They're actually the strongest up higher, almost to the top point where I can reach. Here's something else. It doesn't look like much, but there, I just put my boot in for size comparison, but there are two scratched out spots on the forest floor here in the pine needles. Those are also indications that something was here, and it's right at the end of this big stone wall. The stone wall has lots of interesting kind of holes and crannies and nooks in it, which are fun to explore, although with caution, because you never know who might be inside. How about this dead tree? What do you think's going on here? And why do you think something would do this? Horns all together in the same place, cracked open and eaten. This is a pretty good sign. I like how whoever did this found a little overhanging, hollowed out log. It's almost like a little porch. How do I know somebody was eating this? Well, I'm looking at it. You can see how the acorn would naturally crack when it's drier and older. And that's not the way that it's broken. It's broken in the opposite direction. And I also see little chewy marks at the edge there. So that tells me that somebody ate this. Another good example, you can see those little bite marks on the edge there. What if you don't have any snow? Well, mud's good too. This is by a little stream that's in the woods behind my house. You can hear it right next to a highway. The house is not in the big woods, it's right near the road. And I found these two tracks in the mud right next to each other. I know they're a little hard to see. There's one there, and there's one there. And I think I'm getting a clue about who was visiting the stream just from looking at those tracks. Let's see if you can figure it out. Tracks, prints, scratch marks on trees. These are all the kinds of things that tell a story about what's happening around us even when we're not there. Because there's a lot of things that are happening all the time that we're just not noticing. But if we learn to read the signs, we can see them more clearly. So I want to show you how you can use your science notebook to keep track of all of these signs and try to look at them almost like you would as a detective, looking at the pieces of evidence, trying to put together the story, trying to put together what happened there when you weren't looking. So I started a new entry in my science journal. I just put my date and my heading up here. And what I'm drawing is my house in Harvard and my backyard, the woods that are near my house. And so what I've started to put in is just a few things that show me the landmarks. My shed, my garden, the big rock that I found the hole under, my house. And then I'm gonna try to put the clues that I found onto my map. So this is like a little map of the area around my house, and I started to add some tracks here of where I found them, and I've started to add some of these tracks here, which is where I found them. So I'm gonna try to draw in not only the tracks and the other signs like holes and things like that, but also what animals I think might have been with those tracks, what might have left all of these signs for me to see, and try to get a picture of what's going on in my yard when I'm not paying attention. So it's a really fun thing to do if you've never made a map of the area around your house. I really encourage you to do it. No area is too small either. You can find interesting things in the tiniest of little areas, like just the area around one shrub or one tree. Sometimes I can find all kinds of things right there. So I would encourage you, if you've started a science notebook, to map around your home. Look for those signs that are telling you a story about what's happening all around us in the natural world. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing whatever it is that you come up with, and I hope you'll join me next time.